Welcome to Beyond the Code, the podcast where industry experts and brilliant legal minds discuss the impact of new emerging technologies. I'm your host, Yitzi Hammer, a lawyer and tech enthusiast. Join us as we explore the legal, regulatory, and ethical issues surrounding AI, blockchain, and more. Get ready to go beyond the code and stay ahead of the game. Amit Levin, so nice to finally have you on my podcast, and in English, no less. Really excited to have you here. I don't think the majority of my audience knows who you are or your insane background. So I think probably the best way to start would just be for you to introduce yourself to our listeners.
So thank you for the invitation. I'm so happy to be over here. Thank you for having me. So I'm Amit. I used to work for the State Department in Israel for more than a decade. I used to be a prosecutor. I started in the traditional criminals. This is how we call it in Israel. I used to handle sex cases, criminal cases like violence, drug dealers, etc. After 3 or 4 years, I felt that I need to improve my abilities on the white collar in Israel. So I started to handle with money laundering cases and tax innovation cases. It's like white collar. It's an exam. It's a termination that we used a lot in Israeli media, but it's not. You can't find in the Israeli laws white collar. Sometimes people think that there is a separate division for white collar criminal and for the other criminal. But this is not true because most of the prosecutor in Israel dealing with cases from this side or from the other side. But there is specific prosecutor that 24/7 doing only white criminal cases, and this was my goal. I used to deal with a lot of cases like this in the tradition finance, like banks, exchange, etc. And I think in 2017, I was familiar with the crypto world. A friend of mine turned to me and told me about this world, this weird coin by the name Bitcoin. Start to read a little bit in Hebrew, in English I read the white paper, I get into some forum. I opened an account in Binance, like I think a lot of the Israelis, and they lose some, I win some. It was very, very nice, very, very nice. And in 2020, 3 years ago, I started to be the head of the economic unit in the cyber department at the State Department. Sorry for the long term, but this was my title. I breathe, think, dream 24/7 about crypto, not just Bitcoin, of course, all kind of cryptocurrencies. There is more than 30K cryptocurrencies. And I started to handle tax innovation cases and some of money laundering cases and some of terror financing cases. Israeli criminals, I think criminals all over the world transfer a lot of their activity from the traditional finance world to the crypto ecosystem. If you are putting glasses of a criminal, crypto, like I used to think, now I think a little bit different, but crypto is a heaven for criminal because there is an anonymity. You can transfer money all over the world in seconds or in minutes in the worst case scenario. You don't need anyone to take cash for you from Israel to all over the world. And as you can see in the media, as you can see on cases that cyber unit, the Israeli police cyber unit, dealing with daily, you can find a lot of crypto things that criminals use. Some of them use the cryptocurrencies to launder money. Some of them use the cryptocurrency to extortion or sextortion or things like this. So this was my world until 3 months ago, and then I moved to Binance, as you can see. And then I moved to Binance. Now I'm working at the compliance team in Binance. We are something like, I think, 800 people that work in Binance compliance. That our goal is to make Binance or all the crypto ecosystem cleaner. Most of my day by day work is to get some SARS, suspicious activity report, about users that had connected to some sanction wallet, a terror financing wallet, etc., and to decide if to offboard him from the exchange, to send them question about what was a connection. There is so many different cases. It's not like if you're getting in a case that withdraw $1 million to a sanction wallet, it's very easy that we don't want this guy in our platform. But if we transfer with 3 hops or 5 hops or 7 hops, I don't know, $100, I don't think that there is a risk for the exchange. It is money laundering, or these guys, some of the terror financing, terror financing organization. So this is what I'm doing. I have to say that I'm just learning because I'm quite new in the exchange, but it's an amazing place with an amazing people, and I love it. So this is me.
Thank you, Amit. One thing that stood out for me, and I was surprised actually to hear you say, is that crypto is a haven for criminals. I used to think that when I was, naive and had rudimentary understanding of how blockchain works, but actually you're the person who opened up my eyes to an entirely different side of blockchain analytics. And basically today, because of the way the blockchain is structured, everything is on chain. So it's actually not a great place for criminals to conduct their criminal activity. You also were very kind enough to buy me Traces in the Dark by Andy Greenberg, which is a phenomenal book that I highly recommend. And he shows there, play by play how the Bitcoin blockchain was, unraveled even like retroactively years back, and all these criminals were, found out, and ultimately many of them found themselves behind bars. So how is it that today you still say that crypto is a haven for criminals? Or is it just a haven because the criminals, or the vast majority of them, still don't understand how blockchain works and how exposed they are in many cases?
So the answer is complex, like everything in Israel or all over the world. Okay, the first thing, there is different cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, it's much easier than Zcash or Monero that are private. They are privacy coins, so it's much harder to trace coins like this. And second, like you said, at the beginning, when I was naive and young, I thought that this is heaven, but because of the transparency of the blockchain, it's much harder to launder money via the crypto world. But as you know, there is a great problem for the law enforcement to handling with crypto cases. Let me explain. There is advantage and disadvantage for criminal or for the law enforcement, for the both side of the coin, to deal with money laundering cases via cryptocurrency. If you are tracing a wallet and you can see with your tools, some external tool or some internal tools that you are working with Binance, let's take for an example, Reactor functionalities. You can see that wallet ABC transfer money to wallet AKT, but you don't know who is the entity that holding ABC and who is the entity that holding AKT. If I transfer this example for the traditional ecosystem, so I can see that account number 123 in Bank Hapoalim, Bank of America, transfer money to account 457 in HSBC, I can turn with a subpoena to Bank of America and ask him, who is the guy that holding 123 account? And he will say, this is John Doe that holding this account. And John Doe transfer money to his wife. And now I know that I can arrest John Doe and his wife because of money laundering. I will get the information from the traditional ecosystem. The bank will supply me the entity that holding bank account 123. Now let's move back to the blockchain. I can get a subpoena to turn to blockchain or to Satoshi Nakamoto and ask him, listen, Satoshi, I would like you to tell me who is holding wallet ABC. Even if I will know who is Satoshi, he doesn't know the answer. Vitalik Buterin, for example, doesn't know the answer who is holding his wallet 0x123. He doesn't know the answer. So as a law enforcement, it's a giant disadvantage. And of course, from the other side, for criminal, it's an amazing advantage. But after I will get the information, I will give some example how you can get the information. After that, I will get the information, and I know that account, that address 0x123 in Ethereum is belong to Yitzi Yammer. Then I can trace all the transactions that he did from the wallet from the moment that he opens the wallet until now. This activity, it's an amazing advantage for the law enforcement to do follow the money, that it's much better than in traditional finance. Because if you are working in traditional finance and this guy transfer money from his bank in Israel to his bank account in Austria, then I need to turn to the Australian government with a request to get information, a mutual legal assistance for get information, and then you transfer the money to Hungary, to Bulgaria, etc., etc., etc. It will take years, and this after you break the wall and you combine between entity to a person, it's in heaven for the law enforcement. But if you won't break the wall, it's in heaven for the criminal. So this is from my point of view as an ex-prosecutor. Ex-prosecutor is the main advantage and the main disadvantage for the law enforcement and for criminal in the follow the money via cryptocurrencies.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say you don't break the wall right now, because it's on chain, the wall is always going to be there. In other words, even in 10 years, if I all of a sudden have new information that I corroborate with the old information, I could come back and I could trace all that information back to that individual through his wallet, now that I have that additional information, correct?
Yeah, you're totally right. But if you will get the information after 10 years, maybe he transfers the money via bridge, and then you know that he's one the holding wallet FS0x, etc. But now you transfer the money from Ethereum to Solana, and then you need to do all the tracing again.
True, that's true. But I think we both agree that the fact that it's all on chain and whatever's on the blockchain, we like to say blockchain is forever, is definitely a great advantage to law enforcement now and forever. So criminals,
you're totally right. Yeah, you are totally right. But you need to put in another few things like mixers and dips mixer and things that people pay to people 30%, 40% to launder their money, to cut the chain between their wallet, the deposit wallet, for example, to the withdrawal wallet. This is the money laundering purpose, to cut the chain between my wallet, that the entity that I am holding, wallet ABC, to the wallet that I would like to do cash out with him, wallet KT1.
Understood. But I think the premise of all these analytics tools is that eventually, at some point, people are going to want to go off chain, right? You're going to have to off ramp to fiat at some point. And assuming that you off ramp, you'll have to go through some kind of a KYC process when you do. And then within the framework of that KYC process, they're going to go back a few hops and they're going to see that you went through a mixer. And either they'll take your money or you won't take your money, or they'll ask you a million questions. So how much do these evasive tools really help you in the end of the day? And this isn't like us advising criminals. It's more just I want to understand what goes into your work behind the scenes.
So I emphasize that the analytic tools are amazing. I can learn a lot. For the last 3 months, I work with, I think, any analytic tools that we have in the market, and I learn a lot from them. And every day it's a new day, and every case it's a new case, so you learn some new thing and some new stuff. But I have to say, what you said earlier about the cash out, it's true, not exactly true. So sometimes if you prefer to stay in the crypto ecosystem, you don't need to do cash out. If I can buy a house with Bitcoin, I can buy a car with cryptocurrencies, other cryptocurrencies, I don't need to do cash out. I don't need to move through exchange. Binance, for an example, are doing KYC, an amazing KYC about all of our customers. But there is a lot of high-risk exchange that doesn't ask anything. You can deposit money, you can deposit cryptocurrencies, transfer them to fiat, and no one will ask you what's the source of your money and where is it going now through your withdrawal uh, process.
So what's your take for the future on blockchain? Like, um, where do you think it's going vis-a-vis AML compliance, the integration of, in current analytics tools in the day-to-day operations of crypto users? I don't know. You sit in a very interesting place. Certainly one very different than mine. I work more on the commercial side of the blockchain, and you're more on the enforcement and compliance side. How do you envision the future vis-a-vis compliance?
I think that in, I don't know, 10 years from now, you can see it on MiCA and the regulation via travel rule. I assume that in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I don't know, most of the blockchain technology will adapt to the traditional ecosystem, like you can see every day about countries that starting to check CBDC, etc. If you would like to talk about CBDC, I think that CBDC is amazing, but there is some amazing disadvantage about privacy that we can solve with zero ZK technology, etc. But I don't think that some of the countries are thinking about it, but let's put it aside. So I think that the country is going to adopt the blockchain technology, and I think that the main problem is not going to be from exchange to exchange, because exchange to exchange, it's like the traditional ecosystem. It's from one entity to other entity, from Binance to Kraken, from Kraken to Coinbase, from Coinbase to Binance, etc. This is the easy part. You can see with Amica that they are going to solve it in 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Maybe it's going to be some problem, but the main goal is here. The solution is here. We can solve it. The main problem is with private wallet. So I think that we can find a solution for private wallet. You and I talked about it a few years ago about some solution like SBT that we can put on private wallet that exchange or
Soulbound
country.
tokens. For those who are not
Soulbound token,
familiar,
yeah,
soulbound tokens, which are basically
yeah.
tokens that are non-transferable. In other words, you send them from wallet A to wallet B, and wallet B cannot ever transfer them. Sorry,
And
go ahead.
then the country, yeah, thank you. And then the country or the exchange, never mind who, the authority, one of the authorities, will check this soundbound token weekly, daily, monthly, never mind, and say, I checked this wallet a week ago, and as you can see, this wallet is clean. Now I need to check only from the 1st of January to the 10th of January, because what's happened before the 1st of January, I checked in my previous exam. And then I will take it for the next 10 days or the next 20 days. I don't care about the procedure, but the main goal is going to be that someone will say, okay, I checked this private owner. I don't know who it belongs to Itzi, to Amit, to God, I don't care. But I said that the money over here is clean. And then from one side, you can say this money is clean. So you can transfer it to fiat and to deposit it in the traditional ecosystem. From the other end, I don't need to tell you who am I. I would like to keep my privacy. I don't want to do KYC. I prefer my privacy. I don't know the reason. Everyone has his own reason. But I have my right to privacy. So from the one end, you can check it. And from the other end, I will keep my privacy.
Another really interesting point, which I think you have unique expertise on, is terror financing. I follow avidly all your activity on LinkedIn, and I recommend all of our listeners do the same. You have really phenomenal content. Two events that stood out on your timeline in the last 6 months were, first was related to Hezbollah terror financing, where you guys, in your previous role before you left Binance, I believe, were involved in, in your previous role, you were involved in stopping terror financing that was going to the Hamas. And shortly after, when you joined Binance, I think you worked together with your previous department here in Israel and with other local government bodies to stop a crypto fundraising campaign for Hezbollah. I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about how that came about, what went on behind the scenes, to the extent that you could share, and how you think that this will affect terror financing going forward. In other words, these two major terror organizations were thwarted in their efforts to fundraise via crypto. Do you think that they're going to try again? Do you think that this is going to dissuade other terror organizations from fundraising through crypto? These were very public campaigns, so maybe they'll take their things to more to the underground in the future. I'd love to hear from you.
So I will start from the end. I am assume that the Hamas, Hezbollah will keep using cryptocurrency ecosystem to raise money for the campaign. There is a lot of donate campaigns. You can find them via Telegram, via other social media tools that they are using them to raise money. Some of them are better. Some of them are not raising anything. This is what I'm thinking. If you would like to know a little bit information behind the scene, what can I share on this podcast? So as everyone can see on OSINT, you can find it on the website of NBCTF. NBCTF, it's National Bureau of Counterterrorism Finance. So the Ministry of Defense, Israeli Ministry of Defense, according to information that he gets from the Israel intelligence unit, he will sign on a seizure order. This seizure order mean that according to the information that the intelligence unit show him, he can assume that the money that came to this specific wallet that mentioned on the seizure order came for terror financing. Someone donate money for terror financing. A lot of them used Binance and other exchange to transfer money from point A to point B. I have to say from my experience that this is how I met Binance. I met the people that work for Binance, and I saw with my own eyes how Binance helped to prevent terror financing and money laundering all over the world. Just a little bit information for you and for the audience. Binance received more than 50 case turns every year from law enforcement all over the globe about information about people that using Binance to terror financing, money laundering, scams, etc., etc. And Binance checked every turn from law enforcement, every subpoena, and seized money for the law enforcement and give information about the customer according to Binance policy. So let's come back to the terror financing cases. So after the Israeli Ministry of Defense signed the seizure order, our main problem in Israel, and I have to say it's all over the world, problem like this is the volatility of the cryptocurrencies. Let's put Bitcoin aside for a moment. Let's say that someone has 1 million Dogecoin. That worth right now million shekel, for example. Someone can tweet or can tweaks. I don't know how we can say it right now after he changed the name of the Twitter. He can tweaks. Someone can tweaks. Maybe the owner, maybe someone else. I don't know. Someone can tweaks about the Dogecoin, and after 2 minutes, the properties that the Israeli sees that worth million shekel worth right now 500,000 shekels. Okay, and we just seized money. We didn't forfeit your money. Seize is just saying that according to the Ministry of Defense, he think that the money is connected to terror financing. But maybe the judge will decide that the Ministry of Defense made mistake. Everyone made mistake. So we seized with that, so we don't have justified to seize the money or the cryptocurrencies. And then we need to return them back.
You seized it, then the judge ruled that you don't have the right to seize the money, so you need to release it. But you didn't not have the right. You had the right in that instance, and now you don't have the right anymore.
Yeah. Like in every procedure, when someone sues someone and he get a freeze against his account in the HSBC, after a year, the judge can say, okay, I think to myself right now that you don't have the right to seize this money. Please release his bank account. It's the same in crypto world. So then when I will need to bring back the cryptocurrencies to the suspect, it was worth months ago, million shekels, and now it worth 500,000 shekels. He can sue me as a state, because according to the Israeli law, the main goal of the seizing procedure is to freeze the money, but the state have to keep it worth. if Israeli state seized, let's say for an example, a car, a Bentley car or a Porsche car, they are trying to sell it because now it's worth half a million shekel, and because cars in Israel worth less and less every day, you need to sell it because if the judge will decide that you don't have justified to seize it, you need to bring him back the money that you seized. So I literally, as I was a prosecutor, I literally ran to the court and asked for forfeiture order that his goal is to transfer the cryptocurrencies to fiat. Because as a person, like I mentioned before, I believed in the crypto ecosystem. But according to risk-based approach, the Israeli state prefer fiat, Israeli fiat, shekels over cryptocurrencies, even Bitcoin. And so in every seizure order, the state turned to court and asked to convert the cryptocurrencies with the help of Israeli exchange to shekels. Okay? So this is after we get the seizure order, we transfer the money to shekels, and then we have another problem. When you transfer cryptocurrencies to shekel, it's a tax event according to the Israeli law. I have to say that Israeli tax authorities published few rules 2 or 3 years ago regarding to NFTs, regarding to income via cryptocurrencies, regarding to traders, etc., etc. So how much tax they need to pay in Israel. So if I catch an Israeli suspect and I seized his cryptocurrencies and then I turn to court to transfer them to fiat, it's a tax event for the suspect. And then you should pay tax. So it's very hard to pay tax because he said, from my point of view, I didn't want to transfer the Bitcoin to cash. So you forced me to transfer them, and now you forced me to pay for it. It sounds a little bit ridiculous. And according to the tax authorities' point of view, in some of the cases, they say, I want you to bring the money that you need to pay me for the tax, not from your crypto world, from your clean world. In some, the Israel tax authority, some of them thinks that all the crypto ecosystem, it's money laundering. So I don't want your money from your problematic wallet. I want your money from your bank account, from the traditional finance, from your work, I don't know, at your grocery shop. I want your clean money. I don't want your black money. So every event in terror financing not involved only terror financing case. It's also involved the tax authorities. It's also involved an Israeli exchange that transfers the money. There is a forfeiture unit in the Israeli DOJ that I work, I think 10 years ago when I started to work with them. Our main problem was when we seized horses and when we seized yacht and things like this, some complex assets. But the crypto world, like in everything, it's more complicated than anything that I used to handle when I used to be a young prosecutor. But this is my passion. I love it.
Right. How does working for Binance compare to the work you were doing as a prosecutor? I don't mean the actual work. I mean just in terms of, the mindset. You used to be a government employee and all that entailed, and now you're a hip, cool, high-tech compliance dude.
I
Do you
have to
recommend?
say, yeah, I totally recommend. I have to say that every day I learn some new thing. I love it. I love to work from home. It depends. A lot of people love to work from home and not they prefer to go every day to drive to the office and things like this. But I love to work from home with my kids. I have to say that there is a lot of similar things that the work that I used to do and the work right now. For an example, I feel that what I'm doing now, I'm on the I am the police of Binance. My goal is to find the dirty guys and send them away from the exchange. When I used to be a prosecutor, this was exactly my goal to find the bad guys and send them to the jail. So in Israel, in a previous set, there is the police that investigates the case, the prosecution that turn to the court and ask uh, to charge against this specific guy, and the judge just decides. Now with Binance, I have the three heads. I investigate with all the analytic tools that you use today. I am the prosecutor and I'm the judge because at the end, I decided
You make
according
the
to
call.
Binance policy,
Hmm.
yeah, what's happened to this guy? Are you going to have him on our exchange or we are going to send him off from our exchange? So I have to say it's
And,
quite similar and I love it and it's great.
and do you generally find that the third parties that you work with, if it's governments or law enforcement agencies, are cooperative with you? Like, how do they receive you in your Binance hat? Are you the enemy? Are you a friend? Do they, are they looking to work with you, or are they making your life difficult?
So I think that there is a wall, like we talked earlier about the wall between the entity and the wallet. It's like
Mhm.
there is a wall in some country between the law enforcement and the regulators. According to what I know, all the law enforcement all over the world love Binance. They get information with Binance, they turn to Binance. Every place I go in Israel, in outside of Israel, when I find someone that work for the law enforcement, say, I work for Binance, say, wow, amazing, Binance is awesome. And you can find on my LinkedIn, like you described earlier, that we get a certificate of appreciation from Israeli National Police and from the NBCTF. We get certification like this from law enforcement all over the world. And this is what's so weird about how regulator, like in the state, try uh, to harm Binance and doesn't understand what Binance goal. Binance goal, the compliance goal, is to make the ecosystem cleaner. This is our goal. I work for the compliance team. I have friends that came from law enforcement all over the world. So they just change their head to work from for example, the state police, the HSI, the FBI. Now they're working for Binance and doing the same just for a private company and not for the state.
Very interesting. I mean, I think you guys have quite a few superheroes there in addition to yourself. One of the heroes of Traces in the Dark was Tigran Gambaryan, who also works there. And I'm sure it's a lot of fun working on that side of things. And, you're just beginning. I'm sure I'm sure you have a lot in store for the crypto law enforcement industry as a whole and Binance in particular. I'm very keen to follow your progress, Amit, and feel very privileged to have you as a friend and a colleague. And I hope to continue learning a lot from you.
Thank you, Itzi. I learned a lot from you from the commercial side. A lot of things that we talked about analytic tools. So this is my side. But then as a commercial side, it's true that I'm a lawyer, but I never handled a commercial. And the talk with you, it was so much fun, and I learned a lot. And I think it's amazing.
Thanks, Amit. If our listeners want to follow your content, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you or follow you? What platforms are you most active on?
And I'm most active in LinkedIn. I tried a little bit the X, the Twix, I don't know how to say it right now, but I prefer the LinkedIn. I love it. I have to say that a lot of things, when you work for the state, there is some people that very, very nice, very smart, etc. But about innovate stuff, they prefer to stay in the job and don't learn some new stuff. And I can say that a lot of my cases, when I used to be a prosecutor, I learned from the LinkedIn. Someone turned to me from the law enforcement and said, "Listen, this guy is doing pump and dump. I don't know what is pump and dump. I don't know anything about pump and dump." So I turned into LinkedIn and I searched pump and dump and turned into the Telegram and searched for pump and dump. And then I learned how it's work. And after I learned how it's work and I know how pump and dump work, I know to check my new case with these glasses. I can learn what this guy trying to do. I learned about reg pool. I learned about social engineering, etc., etc. Every case is quite unique, but the majority you can learn via the social media. And I love LinkedIn. And if someone would like to subscribe after my LinkedIn, it will be my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Code. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share with your friends, and to tune in again next week for more fun and insightful conversation.